and welcome, utterers, to another open forum of social discussions where contemporary issues will be emphasized upon and solutions will be discussed. I hope you have liked and subscribed already to encourage our participants. As soon as the camera is pointed at us, most of us immediately suck in our tummies and put on a pout, lest the camera zooms in on our cellulite, wrinkles, or pimples. There is nothing wrong in trying to look your best in public, but body image issues can go deep for some and turn into a fear of being shunned by society for looking anything less than perfect. It is not uncommon to be subjected to demeaning comments about one's body in social gatherings, and people sometimes do not hold back. Keeping that in mind, we'll open our discussion today with our panelists. Today we have with us Jiniya Chakraborty, who's studying psychology at Fergusson College, Pune. She is an avid reader and an art enthusiast. Next, we have Brishti Basu, who's got a diploma in computer engineering, is an aspiring ethical hacker, a baker enthusiast, and a gothic literature fanatic. And we also have with us Nivruthi P, who's studying law at Navi Mumbai. She enjoys formal debates and intellectual dialogues and has a special appreciation for documentaries and art films. So let's start the discussion with Jiniya. Jiniya, silent body shaming often happens through movies, advertisements, and posters, where we normal people seem fat, unfit, and ugly by comparison. What are your thoughts about it, and do you have any first-hand experiences that you would like to share? Yes, Jiniya.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So yeah, we look very ugly and not very, fair and not very slim or toned if in comparison to the actors or actresses shown in the movies, and which is very unrealistic. But then we also need to know that is something, it is creativity, and it has the freedom to go to the extent of what we imagine. So sometimes I am okay with whatever they're showing, sometimes yes, and but then there are some problematic issues showing fair, turning the fair actresses to a black actress. So that is not at all fair, and I don't agree with that. So there are like movies I have seen, like maybe Sarah Burgess, and then in Hindi Bala. So these are all related to body image issues, and I didn't find it very interesting, even though they portrayed those issues, because in these movies, first of all, they show the fat girl or the black man or the brown girl in the secondary choice, as a secondary choice. They have to show them as the first choice, as the first one to fall in love with, because usually we are talking about love stories. So yeah, they do show that there's the love story going on, and the actor is very handsome, and then he goes for a very beautiful pretty girl, and then finally he realized that he fell in love with a heavy girl, if we say. So why not show them first? Why not show that the boy is falling in love with that girl directly? Why she has to be the second choice? Why he has to have an experience with a smart and the heel wearing a Prada wearing girl, and then finally understanding that, oh no, she's not the perfect choice, I should have gone with that girl. So yeah, these are the problems I see, even though yeah, they are trying to show no issues with that, but then yeah, we have to show it in some realistic way. So going back to the question that what I have faced in my life. So I was kind of a fair child when I was small, but then maybe due to migrating to different cities and the weather or something, and even my parents or something, my shade has gone dark. So I have faced a lot from childhood. Both of my parents' side, they had these issues. Ki, your father is a little fair, so why aren't you? Your my brother is very fair, so they used to compare me. I used to compare myself, even though people didn't say. So I was like, am I adopted? That was my question. Because my parents are fair, my brother is fair, so why am I not? So that was a question. But then my parents were very supportive of me. I would like to say that I'm very privileged that my parents didn't, tell me that I am black or brown or anything like that. My mom used to call me Kali Shundori. So in Bengali, we pray to Kali Mata, and of course we know that she is the power. She is the goddess of power. So she used to call me that your color is not going to be an obstacle in your life. That is not even a small problem also in your life, so just avoid it. It doesn't matter whatever everyone says. So yeah, I have brought up, listening to me calling Kali Shundari from my mom. My father used to tell me that your color doesn't matter. You are going to be educated as a fine woman of this age, and you need glamour. And that glamour is not white or fair. Glamour is from within. So glamour will be whatever you will get when you are educated, you are doing amazing, you are doing very good in your life, you have a proper job, you are achieving whatever you want to. That is when you will shine. You don't need a fair and lovely. You don't need any fairness cream to shine or remove your brownness or blackness, whatever you call. So that is how my parents supported. But yes, of course parent support is not always enough, because you go to school, you go to college, and it's very difficult. School life was not a very pleasant place, because uh, I attained my puberty at a very young age, like when I was maybe in fifth standard or something, and that was a huge problem for me. I used to be bullied because I have hair in my arms or my legs. I used to wear long skirts. That was the issue. I was black. People used to call me chocolate. And chocolate is a very good term, but the way, the tone they said it was very disturbing. I was said Kala Bengan. I was said Kala Bhalu. So it was very painful, because 5 to 6 years I'm staying in the same school with the same friends, and I can't avoid them. I have to absorb it. I have to laugh with them about these names and just go about it, because I know I'll be staying in the same school. And whichever school I go, people will be like that. Maybe I'll get some new names. So nothing will change. So yeah, I dealt with those. I tried to complain to my teachers, which is a very bad decision, because it just made enemies, nothing else. And I was, even for my breasts, they were huge. And now then my friends used to say, this dress doesn't suit you because it makes you look very curvy. Now what is very curvy, what is not very curvy, I don't understand that. Because this, I used to think this is my problem. Recently one of my friends told me that you have such a beautiful body and I am so skinny and my breasts are so small, everybody is bullying me. Now what, I started laughing, because I was facing and she's also facing. So where's this midpoint? What is this ideal body type we are thinking of? What is this ideal color we are thinking of? Because they are also facing, I am also facing. So this is actually very funny if you see, because then when you understand that that girl is also facing because she's skinny, and I'm also facing because I'm curvy. So we both are facing, and still we are being bullied. So this is one of the things I wanted to share. And going back to the movies, I wasn't very sure with the movies. I never got those, you know, prince dreams that I will get a prince and something, and I have to be fair for that. I never minded all of those. Maybe because my parents raised me right, because my parents are raising my brother right, so that he doesn't bully somebody else. I have seen people like brothers teasing their older sisters because they're black. I was very scared. The next day I came back, I was scared. I asked my mom, will my brother bully me in front of others? Because my shade is darker. So this is very serious issue. Shade, and then body type, and then hair problems, skin problems, lots of problems going on there. And nothing is portrayed very well in the movies or the ads. Not a single ad shows curvy women in any cosmetic ads. So why only the skinny actresses? Why not some other body types? I'm not saying heavy. There are athletic body types also. That they are also not, appreciated. They say gymming is bad for girls. Girls get muscles. That's not a proper body type. So that is also an issue. Anything is issue right now. So that is very saddening. And yes, I did face all these things. You're on mute.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
I was saying, based on our appearance, some of us are being treated as a second class citizen our entire life. One is often considered less than intelligent, and employment opportunities become scarce. And so are compensation for the job that one eventually gets. As we age, it becomes easier for us to stand up to criticism and not internalize it. However, a teenager's mind regarding handling such issues is like a blank slate. What kind of impact do you think, Jinia, body shaming makes on such impressionable minds?
Um, yes, a lot, I would say. Even a lot is a very small word to say,
Mhm.
because I had friends who faced all this,
Okay.
and it was a tornado of emotions. It was low self-esteem. They couldn't go to school sometimes, and even I didn't know their reasons, because even I was small at that age. So if we go physically, like the medical wise, we have so many teenagers right now facing bulimia nervosa or anorexia nervosa, which we term, or binge eating. So bulimia nervosa is very serious, and people think it's kind of a diet. So they eat, they love to eat. Maybe that person is fond of eating,
Okay.
so they love to eat, they eat, and then they purge it out.
Okay.
They vomit it out. So I literally heard a person saying that he loves biryani. So he eats a lot of biryani, to his satisfaction, and then he vomits it out. That has so much of physical problems. And now he was admitted to the hospital, because first of all, nutritious food was not being taken, and his esophagus got affected because of continuous vomiting. His mental health got down. So many problems. Anorexia nervosa, that is minimal eating of food, that is known as extreme dieting. People, there are girls who are faced with this problem. They think, okay, now I'm a teenager, I have to attract boys, I have to attract girls, and then they stop eating. They only drink water, and that is not good at all for the body. These are very major serious issues the teenagers are facing. Binge eating is eating every time, all time, without any gaps. This is, and there's nothing as satisfaction there. They just keep on eating. Now, these are the issues they're facing. But why are they facing? That is one of the questions. Because there's fat shaming, color shaming, body image issues. So these shaming in India, what I have seen is, my relatives also saying ki you're getting fat. So if I, raise my voice to say ki, this is not fat, this is just a small tummy or something like that. So what the reasons are that if I don't say to you right now, you'll get fat. So I'm helping you. I'm motivating you with these kind of language. They are just not understanding that this is not at all motivating. This is, demotivating me, and this is making me or the other teenagers lean towards what we call in psychology learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is, getting repeatedly failures, or listening something repeatedly which gets into your mind, and then you finally give up. There's nothing to do. And if even if there are opportunities to make you feel better, or make you feel under, going to webinars or seminars, or understanding your body type, understanding that you are not alone in this fight, understanding it's fair to be fair or to be brown, they just don't go to those opportunities because they've already given up. They're done with it. They're done with the society. What to say more? Nobody is motivating her. Nobody is telling her that you are beautiful however you are. So these are all the problems. Learned helplessness is very bad for any person. It just makes them down for their whole life. They have to go to therapy. So many teenagers are going to therapy in such an age, which is actually not needed if there's support of the family. Therapy is there, therapy is very good. But then even the family has to see that they are supporting their kids. They are telling them they are beautiful. And everything, if the teenagers issue even doesn't come from family or relatives or neighbors, it comes from within, because that is the age where they are low in self-esteem. They're only thinking about themselves ki, how do I look, how do I attract the opposite sex, and have boyfriends or girlfriends. That is their thing. So attraction can happen anytime. I just attended 10 minutes ago um, one session over blindness and how blind people get love. There I watched how beautifully the blind people are having their marriages, and they can't see if somebody is brown or somebody is fat or somebody has skin issues or somebody has hair fall. Nothing. That is also one boon, I guess, to them, that they are finding the person within. They are not finding what's the wrapper or what's the outside, uh, you know, maybe the making of the person. So it touched me a lot, and that's how I understood ki we are the person to change. Nobody is going to tell us to change. We will change. We will understand that confidence is necessary, self-esteem is necessary. Be happy, groom yourself to be better, educate yourself, educate your children. That is what is needed. These body image issues are not an issue right now. So that's how I would like to conclude.
When we as a culture never stop reminding women what they are supposed to look like through advertising and cultural expectations, we are responsible for helping to preserve the prevalence of eating disorders and low self esteem among the entire gender. Brishti, we can't all look like supermodels, can we? But we do all have the beauty that we can appreciate. Mention a few ways women can stand up to debunk and ignore criticism through your experiences. How do we overcome our negative body image thoughts?
Thank you for the opportunity. I have met a lot of people who, they start a conversation. If they're having in a conversation, they start by self-depreciating themselves so that nobody else gives the opportunity to do it for them. So that is not a good thing. That makes them feel like, so nobody, if nobody else does it, so they just preserve themselves, like, they save themselves from somebody else saying it. Or if somebody, and body shaming does not only happen verbally, people do it through gestures, through pointing, through expressions in behavior, the way they look at you. So I have met women who have somebody has stared them up and down, looked up them up and down, and
Right.
like with a grimace, and
Right.
behaving as if they're not good enough. They have looked back, the way they did it, and they have just stopped. And well, one of the few ways people can do it is to focus on concrete examples of people who have defied perceived stereotypes and achieved success. This is one of the ways. If somebody says that, if they're into dancing, like, how could you, be into dancing if you're curvy, or you're on the bigger side of the spectrum? And like, there are a lot of dancers. There are, like, on Facebook, there was this girl who just went viral because she's a ballet dancer, but she's plus size, and she owns it. So you own it. Because one thing people hate the most is when you love yourself, when you own it. Like, if they say that, yeah, you should lose weight, you're gaining a little bit more, like, yeah, I am, maybe it's healthy weight, maybe it's not, I'm okay with it. And you just they give up their self-defense mechanisms by not self-depreciating themselves in on conversations. And there's that. And how we can overcome negative body image thoughts is by positive thoughts, replacing them with positive thoughts, which is not as easy as it sounds, but you have to try to enforce it, because it is important for your own mental health. Like Jiniya said, like, our mental health is very important. So you could just say, so what if I don't fit into today's societal standards? I am smart, I am well read, stuff like that. Or yeah, I can run a lot, like I can run 5 kilometers without stopping, and not a lot of people, skinny people, can do that. And surrounding yourself with less critical people, like, choose quality over quantity. But which is tough, because when you're a teenager, the amount of people you go out with on Instagram, how many people, different groups of people you go out with, and um, sorry. So so it's important when you're a teenager, like, it depends, like, how many people you can show off on Instagram, that, yeah, you
Right.
went here, the different group, and
Correct.
then. So just surround yourself with quality, like, over quantity, like people who love you for who you are, maybe for your taste in music, or for you, or maybe you guys have something in common, like books or TV shows, or just they're just weird enough and crazy enough to just be with you. They just like you. You just vibe. And one of the things is having hobbies, or doing something that makes you feel beautiful from the inside, from the within, because it's very important when you're on the plus size spectrum, that you do something that makes you feel good from the inside. Like, it makes you feel happy, so that if anybody says something, it stays when you do something that makes you feel good. And even if you like working out and you're not losing weight, that should not be a primary objective. Just work out if you're for being healthy. You to keep your heart healthy, because it makes you feel good, the rush. Or just maybe to make Thor happy, to make Thor proud, just like that, thinking of like that. And one of the things is, don't make your physical appearances the primary objective. Like, you could improve a skill, you could work on yourself, improve your personality, or the way you behave with other people. So there are some ways you could overcome your negative image thoughts.
True. Rather than waiting for that age when we have permission to no longer care about such things, it's up to each one of us to stop it now in our own way. If we want to be mindful and loving towards women, this sort of intolerance needs to stop. Tell me, is it normal to feel like we don't or shouldn't love our bodies? How do we change the conversation so that we stop shaming others and ourselves?
Okay. So it is quite normal to feel like you love yourself. There's a whole beauty, like, uh, there's a whole market out there telling you that your skin's not good. Like Janya said, that you're darker, or you're shorter, or you're just not pretty enough, or you're not going to find love because, you don't fit into those rom-com beauty standards of that tall, slim, pretty girl. And yeah, and if suppose like me, like I grew up being overweight, like I was a chubby child, and I was a I'm a big teenager. I have overweight. I'm still overweight and I have body issues. And when you're a child and you hear, your mother's friends, or those well wishers who tell you you should lose weight, or you should run more or eat less. Like, how can you tell a 9-year-old child to eat less? Like, that is just wrong in so many ways. And even your friends, the people you played downstairs with, the ones who would tell you, okay, you should lose weight, when you're doing the exact same things, running, playing, swimming, fighting also with them, you're doing the exact same activities that they are doing. So yeah, it is quite normal to feel like you shouldn't love your bodies. And even if you, like, at one point think that maybe I should, yeah, suddenly there's a switch in your mind that goes like, don't. Like, it's a nagging voice in your head that keeps telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not good, like, it's going to affect and this negative thoughts, they're going to affect you in a long run, like, your relationships, any kind of relationships. I'm not just talking about dating or any other kind of relationships, your workplace. Like, if I'm going to get a job interview or not, if I'm going to get this job, what if they, like, just go on my physical appearance, which does happen. It does happen a lot. So yeah, it is quite normal to have, like, you shouldn't love your bodies, because it is when you're a teenager, and maybe when you're older, like, you still have image thoughts, like, maybe I'm just not good enough. It starts affecting you. And the ways we could stop shaming others and ourselves, like, saying self-depreciating jokes so that nobody gets to do it, is to encourage body positive conversation. Is by, like, if you see somebody else doing it to someone else, you could just say, yeah, but that essay you wrote was fantastic, or that that recipe that you sent me, it turned out so well, you're a great cook, like that. Just encouraging, like, positive conversations, and spreading awareness. People, they know that it hurts, but if you spread awareness, like, people use words like moti and jadi, and like fatso, or big brishti, like that kind of things. So you could just point, like, call them out, or spread awareness to social media, or just in a conversation, that what, these are not good terms, these hurt people, and they hurt, they do, even if you internalize it, they do hurt. So you can spread awareness. And one important thing is being kind to each other, because in the long run, you have to know that sometimes, they're projecting some of their own insecurities on you. Like, they're doing this to you so that they can feel a little better about themselves. I've also seen a lot of girls that have been on the overweight side or skinnier, that, if somebody has commented on their bodies, they've come up with very whip smart, sarcastic, sadistic replies that, they stopped the conversation there and then. Like, the person won't even try to say something to this person again. But, but in the long run, it's not good, because maybe they stop doing it to you, but they'll do it to someone else. They'll just pass it on. So, be kind to each other. Like, okay, fine, maybe they said it. So you say something to compliment them. So they know that, what, this person is nice, and, like, I shouldn't be doing this. So yeah, because this is important. And one of the most important thing is that it's up to us, how much importance we give to another person's opinion about ourselves. Because if we keep depending on what other people think about us, we will never live the life we want. We'll never do the things we want to do. So just you stop living on other person's terms and conditions, and live the life the way you want.
Yes, and you know what? We blame society for such issues, but we need to realize that we make up the society. Nivruthi, have you ever confronted anyone who has been involving in body shaming? People often loosely relate bigger people with being lazier. How correct that could be? Could you elaborate with some examples?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me here. Now, to begin with, growing up, I was a very, very skinny child. I did get a lot of comments from people about my body. So you're very skinny. There's something, you should probably go to the doctor. It came from all avenues alike, be it teachers, be it my own parents, and be it friends, anybody for that matter. But but it wasn't in the form of mockery. It was more in the form of stating a fact and giving me unsolicited advice for it, which at that point didn't bother me because, like Jiniya pointed out, most people don't realize that it's body shaming at that point. But one thing that did bother me all my life and still does is when people point out that I have crisscross teeth. I mean, I know it. It is there. It's been in my life for as long as possible. And it got to a point where at some point I was embarrassed about it. And I even cried to get braces because I was that embarrassed. I refused to go to school, and it was a big charade. But the thing is, at some point, I started getting comfortable with it. Come ninth grade, I started putting on weight naturally because of adolescence, and I kind of understood that because my mom's a biology teacher, so she kept reiterating it that it's just adolescence, it happens to everybody else. But what I understood as an adolescent, I don't think my peers understood. So they started pointing out weight places in which I'd put on weight, like be it my breasts, be it my waist, be it my backside, and it made me extremely uncomfortable. And it made me question my own beauty. It made me very insecure about myself. I didn't like the way I was looking. And when I sat down to think as to what it is that, all my life I've been getting comments about my body, that didn't make a difference. And now suddenly it's because of the way we look at fat people as opposed to skinny people. Fat people do get a lot of more heat as opposed to skinny people. In ninth grade, I did try to confront the people, but I don't think I had the guts in me to actually go and do it outright. So I went to the authorities, but little to no heed was paid. Of course, I did. I went with another agenda to file another complaint, but in retrospect, I realized that the one thing that irked me the most was the body negativity, and I did point that out, but nothing was done about it. Now, coming as I started growing up more, I read more about this, I learned more about this, and I realized that this isn't acceptable. And it isn't just me who's uncomfortable with this, it's an entire movement around the world where people are not okay with it. And so I started right at home, where I started interrupting my mom when she said things that didn't match up to what is okay today. And I still do it. Of course, it's a work in progress, but I think at some point we have to understand that radical change will not happen overnight. The thing is, I don't think people realize how unacceptable this is because of how normalized this is in society. Moreover, it is normalized to a point where we internalize this indoctrination. Because we, at some point, if I myself, who's been very confident about myself, all my body, started questioning it, I can only imagine what goes through the mind of a teenager. Now, coming to how people relate, fatness or, skinniness to being more active. Firstly, like Jinia pointed out, I want to say that there isn't any consistent way of determining what is the ideal shape. If you're fat, you're too fat. If you're skinny, you're too skinny. If you're somewhere in the middle, there's still people telling me that you lose weight here, so you look better. So this ideal isn't set in stone, and this fluidity in the Indian mentality is the reason for this fluctuation of what is as opposed to what could be. Coming to the perception of laziness, I for one do not believe that's true at all. And I would like to support this with an example of Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova. Both of them are ace tennis players. They're at the top of their game, and they're amazing at what they do. Now, Serena Williams, it doesn't fit the ideal standard of what we know as femininity. She's dark skinned, she's muscular, she's known to be an aggressive tennis player, she has curly hair, as opposed to her counterpart Maria Sharapova, who's fair, who's skin, who's petite, she has blonde hair, she fits the ideal standard of femininity. Now, I think that it is established that if they are ace tennis players and there's a lot of work that goes into what they do physically. So, is it fair to say that one is doing more work as opposed to the other? I don't think so. At the same time, there was another case study where seven women of the exact same weight were taking photos of in a linear, a line. And then they realized that the seven women look radically different. So how do we come to the conclusion if one is more productive or more physically active? I know of skinny people who lead extremely unhealthy lives. I know fat people who lead extremely good lives. So it's unfair to point out if one is more or less active. Plus, there are many reasons for that weight gain or weight loss. It could be adolescence, it could be postpartum, it could be pregnancy, it could be hormones, thyroid. There are many reasons for that. It's very unfair to blame that individual or just the individual for the reason of their weight gain or weight loss. Yeah.
As someone who, like most women, has struggled with body issues, I was hoping that the older I got, the less I would have to worry about these things. However, it occurs to me that there is really no magic age where it stops. Nivruthi, how do you feel body shaming is being managed at the individual, community, institutional? and legal and policy levels. You may cite examples of a few cases to substantiate your point.
Okay, so to begin with, at the individual level, I think we're all very familiar with the body positivity movement, which is started by the fourth wave feminism, wherein they advocate for everybody being comfortable in their bodies. And of course, if you are unhealthy, they promote a healthier lifestyle, but that doesn't mean that they say that don't like your body the way it is. So I think individually there is some sort of a change that I can see, but I don't think it's very radical, like I said. Coming to schools and colleges and at an institutional level, we've always heard of the anti-ragging squad because that was prevalent. Now they're coming up with anti-bullying squads, which I think is a great initiative, but it's not very, worldwide. It's not out there yet. But I think as long as there's some sort of change, I think progress will happen. Coming to the laws, this I have a little bit of a problem with because there's this concept of law of trifles, which basically says that the court will not register cases which are trivial in nature, which I fundamentally have a problem with, especially with regard to body shaming, because at what point do you realize if something is grave enough, if something has impacted somebody to a point where it can, be made a case. However, there are still laws which deal with it in passing, like this anti-discrimination discriminatory laws in the fundamental right itself. Then we have Vishaka guidelines which deal with sexual harassment at workplace. We have section 354 of the Indian Penal Code which deals with outraging the modesty of women. But there is no law which deals with it in its entirety, and that is because of this concept of law of trifles. Now, law is a very interdisciplinary concept. It isn't restricted to one. So I believe that as long as sociology evolves and we start incorporating more and more concepts of how people can, just basically live in harmony, I think that can happen. There's this famous jurisprudence person called Savigny. He basically said that law emerges from the society, and if as a society at some point start discussing things, start having a dialogue, then there will be room for discussion, and that discussions will lead to debate, which I hope that will lead to a law being passed for the same. So yeah.
Rather than waiting for that age when we have permission to no longer care about such things, it is up to each one of us to stop it now in our own way. People with fair skin were born with it, and so were people with dusky tones. Nivruthi, you remember when we were talking over the phone while finalizing the dates, etc., you had mentioned you won't have much to share about the skin tone part of it, uh, as it is considered normal by your state standards. So the question arises, what exactly is normal, right? How would you define your skin tone, Nivruthi?
I think I'm dusky. I mean, the light makes it look like I'm not, but I'm
Okay.
still pretty dusky.
Okay, Brishti and Jiniya, tell me how normal will people of the eastern or the northern belt consider what Nivruthi is saying? You have experienced it because you come from these zones. So let's close it by your comments on this matter. Jiniya, would you like to go first?
Yes, okay. So I'm from West Bengal, and it's not very east, not very north, and east people are usually fair, no doubt, and North Indians are also fair. And being a Bengali, I have grown up with all kinds of colors, because Bengali people don't have very darker skins or very fair skin. So I wouldn't say there was much of a competence in this way. But then, yeah, everybody prefers fairer person. But I would just like to add something what Brishti said, that love your body. So the word love your body, I would just like to say ki I have been changing. My body type has been changing a lot. I have been loving my body however it is. Even when I'm skinny, even when I'm fat, even if I'm having a tummy. Just love yourself however, even if you're going to change, even if you're going from overweight to underweight, you're going from underweight to overweight. In the whole process, love yourself, love your body. And this is not because we all panelists are here and we all are women here. So we should not forget the men too. They also face body image issues. So yeah, they are also facing it, no doubt. And would just like to tell everybody that find something beautiful about yourself. Be it intellect, be it from any part of the body, eyes, nose, eyebrow, hands, legs, anything. Just find something beautiful about and appreciate it. Definitely, you will start loving your body. Definitely. And I'm a philosophy student. So I'm, learning a lot about consciousness and aura and everything like this. So instead of body, consciousness is more important. I have been learning this. So it is very important. We are forgetting this in this age that body is not important, consciousness is. So make your conscious self better. Body will be better in that same line. You don't, need to give special attention to it. And dusky skin tones, you are beautiful. Just go in front of the sunlight, you will feel yourself golden. Never ever doubt it. I do it myself. Whenever I feel down, I just go outside and stand, and the sun rays fall on me, and I feel golden. So just do it. That's the only tip I would give it to you. Nobody will, take it away from you.
Thank you, Jiniya. Brishti, do you have any closing comment?
Um, so I think Jinia has pretty well summed up the fact that you should always love yourself, and you should also remember that it is a hard path, and it's going to it's going to take a while, and it's a process. It's a journey which you should take because it is beautiful. It is okay not to love yourself sometimes. It is okay to feel like you shouldn't, like nobody else is going to, like think that you're not going to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or you're just not going to be happy enough. It's fine, but you should always remember that maybe if you do not fit into the societal beauty standards, you are beautiful in a lot of different ways. You are beautiful within. You may be intelligent, you may be smart, you may have a really glowing personality which can take up the room. So be happy and be kind to each other. That's the most important part.
Nivruthi?
I would like to say that beauty isn't a competition. You cannot make it a competition with another person. Don't make it a competition among with yourself. Everything that you're going through as a teenager is normal, because at that point I wish somebody had told me that it's normal, and people will troll you, people will bully you, but that's really not the end of it. And I would like to conclude by saying that beauty cannot be determined by anybody, and like these both rightly pointed out, there are many other ways to measure beauty, and I wish that we as a society progressed and looked at that form instead of the set ideal of what is beauty. Thank you.
Body shaming is often done by people who themselves have deep rooted conflicts. A person with a healthy mind won't ridicule anyone. And with this thought, we have come to the end of the discussion. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe Utterance, as it's a super way to encourage candid content. Thank you.